Hi, I'm Trevor Turnbull. This is a Mailchimp customer support request. I'm just following up on a reply that I received from you guys regarding the topic of contact import is sending the autoresponder and it shouldn't be. So I had originally, let me see if my original message is on here. Right, so I had originally emailed you guys through the support saying that I'm having troubles importing a list into a group, or importing my contacts into a group using a CSV file, and then having the autoresponder trigger for some reason, even though it shouldn't be triggering. So I got some feedback from you guys saying that absolutely the autoresponder is set up correctly. However, it's important to note that Mailchimp keeps track of which new subscribers signed up by our own Mailchimp form in the specific field called opt-in time. So when an autoresponder is set to send only to folks who have signed up through your form, the autoresponder first looks at whether or not the subscriber has the opt-in time value. And if so, it will then send based on off of the time on the confirmed time. And then you guys had sent me this screenshot showing the export of all of my contacts that I had in there currently, and you would reference the fact that, okay, here's the opt-in time. Because the system saw an opt-in time, it assumed that meant the subscribers came in through the form. So you can see here, based on this spreadsheet, that I actually had a column in my CSV file that was actually called opt-in_time. And even though I was not assigning that to the advanced field of opt-in time, it was still recognizing it, and it was actually triggering the autoresponder. So I get that. So the workaround that you gave me for this was to, the good news is you can actually avoid this moving forward by tracking that original date of the opt-in in a slightly different field type. And that field type was using the opt-in time as a text field. So recording it as a text field. So I'm just going to show you here. So here's all of my imports that I have, or all of my imports and signups that are in my Mailchimp right now. And these are all just my own accounts. I'm just testing everything here. And you can see that these 6 right here actually have an opt-in time. And that was because I still originally, in my original file, actually had an opt-in time field column, which was right here previously. It was actually called opt-in opt-in_time. So that was causing the conflict. So even if I didn't assign that field to the advanced opt-in time field when I had to go through and confirm everything, it was still actually recording it as that. So that was definitely what was causing the issue. At least that's what I thought. So what I did was I imported this list right here, johnnyconnect@gmail.com and trevor@zeromoneymakingwebsite.com, these 2 email addresses which are not in my record at all in Mailchimp. And I changed the name on this field to original subscribe date. Now, when I went through and I actually recorded that one, I actually recorded original subscribe date as a test field, or as a text field. So you can see here, this is the export, the most recent export of all of my contacts that are in Mailchimp, and these last 2 here have this date on it still, so I could still sort my information based on this, because this is what we're trying to accomplish. I want to make sure that I can keep the original subscription date in the record so that we can actually sort through it and see who signed up from January 2010 to January 2011, and then be able to email those people directly. And you'll notice here on this export that the opt-in time now it doesn't exist because I didn't have opt-in time anywhere in my spreadsheets, my CSV file that I was importing, and I didn't choose the advanced opt-in time field. So based on the email that was sent to me, let me just keep reading through this. So to avoid moving forward, we'd suggest downloading a backup copy of the list and deleting the data in the opt-in time column for anyone who didn't actually subscribe to the Mailchimp form. You could then create a new column in the spreadsheet called something like original opt-in time. So I actually called mine, what was it again? Original subscribe date, and move the data into that field. Then we'd recommend re-importing the list and designating this new field as a simple date field. When you re-import, keep in mind you you wouldn't want to map this other field as an advanced field for opt-in time. So I understand that. The system will continue to read anyone with data in the opt-in time column as a subscriber who opted in through the form. Totally understand it. It makes sense. Also, keep in mind, as long as you uploaded the field in the simple date field, you'll still be able to segment your list based on the subscribers who signed up within a certain date range, and we definitely want that. We made a test date field and we're testing accounts. Okay, that's not that important. So what I'm trying to accomplish here is a few things, and sorry for the kind of going all over the place, but I got to try and explain this as best I can. All right, so if I go into my, what's the best way to show this to you? Okay, so let's look at the list first of all. So here's these two email addresses here, and you can see that I've got this original subscribe date as a field. And in this case, I've actually got original opt-in time on this one. And that's causing some of the issues. That should actually be on all 6 of these. I'm not sure why it's not. But anyway, so if I go to my autoresponder, here's what I want to have accomplished. So I have this for business autoresponder here. And I'm actually going to edit this one and make sure that I have it set up properly. So it's going into the group of business professional. The autoresponder I want to make sure is unchecked because I don't want these imports to receive my autoresponder. So we're about to import 3,000 contacts from Constant Contact, and we're going to be putting them into groups. We're going to be assigning them to groups based on the segments. But we don't want these autoresponders to be triggered because the autoresponder should only be triggered if somebody signs up through the form. So by unchecking this, what I've been told, and from what you guys have said, I understand that the only way that somebody will receive this autoresponder is if they actually sign up using the form, and then therefore the subscribe date will be the trigger for this autoresponder, not the use import time as subscribe date. Okay? So I'm going to come back here and I'm just going to confirm and set this one up, and I'm actually going to run a test right in front of you here to show you what I'm doing. All right, so back to the autoresponder dashboard. And into my list and view my subscribers. All right, so here's a whole bunch of different emails that I've used so far. So I need to use 2 other emails because I don't want to add another variable to this to say, oh, the record was already in there and therefore it caused a conflict. So what I'm going to do is to choose 2 more email addresses, and you can see I've actually tracked my progress on all of this throughout the whole time that I've done the imports. So the first one I did with that use import data subscribe date checked off using these 2 addresses, Trevor@GoRoute3 and Trevor@onewebsite.ca. Here's what I expected for results. They should go into these groups that I assign them to, and they should not receive the autoresponder since it's checked off. And I did receive the autoresponder on this one, but I put a note here saying these contacts all received the autoresponder because I mapped the opt-in field, which was a field, it was a heading field in my CSV file, to the advanced opt-in field. I get it, that was the problem, right? So I did it again, and same variables in here. I had use import date checked off, used 2 different email addresses here, and I added the opt-in time as a text field in this case. Now, both of these addresses were added to the group again. They should not have received the autoresponder because it was checked off. This time they were actually only added to one group, which is the business one, not the business and the weekly tip one, like this one. And in both cases, they actually received the autoresponder again. And then again, I made a note. These contacts all received the autoresponder regardless of the fact that I added the opt-in time as a text field. This is because the field in my CSV file had the heading opt-in time. So hopefully that makes sense. I didn't actually change that field here in my spreadsheet to this original subscription date. I still had it as opt-in_time. So your system was reading that as the opt-in time, even though I didn't assign it to the advanced field. All right, so hopefully this is making sense. This is because the field in my CSV time was opt-in time, so even though I didn't map it to the opt-in time advanced field, it still saw it as the opt-in time and assumed it was added using the Mailchimp form. See support email in Shepherd folder for Mailchimp for more info. So that's the email that I was referring to. Okay, so scenario number 3, which I've already tested, and then this 4th one is the one I'm going to do right now. So based on my learnings from the first 2, What I did was, again, I left the business autoresponder as checked off, and I imported these two emails, johnnyconnect@gmail and trevor@zerotomoneymakingwebsite.com. And I changed the field name on my CSV file to original subscribe date and added that as a text field. And that's why we see in my records here, original subscribe date, and that date actually shows up there for these two email addresses. And if you look at my export here as well, you can see that those two addresses, once again, Johnny Connect, Trevor@zerotomoneymakingwebsite, neither one of them have any dates here in the opt-in time. They do have original subscribe dates in here, but again, that's just for sorting purposes. And so based on the instructions that I had received from you, I finally figured this out. It's going to work. It's not going to send the autoresponder. Now, what I did was looked at this and saw, okay, went into the group, and I waited 12 hours and saw that johnnyconnect@gmail did not, in fact, receive the autoresponder. Neither did Trevor@zerotomoneymakingwebsite. So I figured I'm good to go there. But the next thing that I have to do, and the whole reason why I'm doing this, is because I don't want our imported contacts, our 3,000 contacts that are going to be imported, getting this autoresponder. But that business autoresponder needs to have the use import date as subscribe date checked on in order for my forms to work. And the reason that is that I'm actually, so if I go in here, and yeah, anyways, I just referenced that. But the reason for that is that, no, I do need to show you this. Okay, so if I go in here and edit again, go autoresponder. So if this was just a standard form, I could leave this unchecked, and when somebody subscribes using the standard Mailchimp forms, it would absolutely work. But what I'm actually using is a Mailchimp plugin that I've had custom developed by a developer, approved developer of your guys, is called Chimpchamp. So it's Dustin Struckman is the guy's name. So he's actually using the API to be able to pull all the information into Mailchimp when a form is submitted. So I do, in fact, have to have this checked on in order for that plugin to work. And this plugin just looks like this. In the back end of my WordPress site, you can see here, I've got this Chimpchamp plugin. I've got all these different forms created. And if I show you the front end of this, if we look at the For Business page, For Business, so this is where I have this form embedded on the side. This one's actually showing the conference one. Jeez. Okay, I gotta log in here. Sorry about this, but it's important that I show you all this stuff so that you understand what I'm dealing with. All right. I'm just gonna get out of that. And I'll go to that page. I've just got a maintenance mode plugin set here on WordPress, which is why I can't show you that without logging into the back end. So I'm gonna go view on this page now. And you'll see that this form is actually showing up on this For Business page. It's right here, okay? So that form is using the API. It's using Mailchimp's API, which again is why I need to have this checked on in order for the autoresponder to work. So that brings me back to my next step that I went through on this third test that I did. What I did was I went in 12 hours later and I updated the use import date as subscribe date to checked on. So I actually came in here and I checked this on. So up until that point, I did not receive the autoresponder. Once I finally imported my CSV file correctly and assigned the original subscribe date to the right text field. And again, here's my spreadsheet that just shows that that is the case. Here's the original subscribe date, nothing on the opt-in time. Based on your instructions, that shouldn't have queued up. And let me go back to your instructions again so you can see this. So here's what you had sent me. It says here that because the system saw an opt-in time, it assumed that meant the subscriber came in through the Mailchimp form. So again, I don't have opt-in time on those last two. However, let's head back to Mailchimp here again. When I checked that back on, what happened was, I want to go here. Yeah, here we go. So I'm saying that expected results is they should not receive the autoresponder, right? Because I waited 12 hours, so I waited well past the grace period of within the hour, and I checked this back on, and what happened was johnnyconnect@gmail.com did not receive the autoresponder yet. I have not received anything yet. Let me just double check my email to see if I got one coming in here. It doesn't look like I have one. But this one here, Trevor at Zero to Money Making Website, did receive it and should not have. And this is the email right here. So this is the autoresponder. This is the for business autoresponder. And I can see that this was sent to Trevor at Zero to Money Making Website. And it happened almost within 15 minutes of me checking on this use import time as subscribe date on again. So I think you can see my concern here. That's a long explanation to explain where I've come from and where I am right now, but in a nutshell, what I want to do is import 3,000 contacts into Mailchimp, assign them to a group. So let me actually go there and go import, start new import, and from here what I want to do is actually upload a file, and you can see I can assign them to a group. So I want to assign them to this group, and when I do assign them to that group, I don't want them to receive the autoresponder. And I figured the only way to do that is to leave that checkbox unchecked, import them, leave it for an extended period of time, and then come back and check it back on once that grace period is extended. And I don't even know what that grace period is, and this is maybe the question that you can answer for me. And that they wouldn't receive it. Only new people that signed up on the forum would actually receive it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do this right now because I need to test this one more time in order to see what the heck's going on. So I've got two other email addresses that are not currently in my database anywhere. So I've got trevor@sportsexec.net and info@sportsnetworker. So I'm just going to change these, trevor@sportsexec.net, info@sportsnetworker.com. Okay, so there's my two new email addresses. And I kept all these fields in here just because I wanted to add additional info. It shouldn't be causing any conflicts. Email type, original subscribe date again. So this is like a, I'm just putting some dates in here to represent like an official original subscribe date, but not the opt-in _ time because I realize that's causing the conflict. And the rest of this stuff should be no problem. So let me go ahead and export this now as a CSV file, and we'll call this one, you can see this is my 5th test, so I'll call this -5. And now if I go to my desktop, let's take a look at this -5 here. So there's Mailchimp test 5, and there it is. There's a preview, so trevor@sportsexec.net, info@sportsnetworker.com, original subscribe date, good to go, right? So now I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make sure that they're going into the business professionals group. I gotta actually, before I do that, I should confirm this, that the autoresponder is set to on. So I'll start this autoresponder again. Okay, so I don't have that checked on now, which means that they shouldn't receive the autoresponder. But what I'm gonna do this time is I'm actually gonna give it 24 full hours. So at 3:30 p.m. Tomorrow on Sunday, because you can see, I actually probably can't see on my screen, but it's 3:30 p.m. right now as I'm recording this video. I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to check that box on 24 hours later and just see what happens, because that's the only variable I can think that I haven't tested yet, is the fact that I might have turned that checkbox on, the use import data subscribe date, on too early. But I don't know, because 12 hours seems like it should be enough. Why 24 hours? I don't know why that would make a difference, but possibly it will. All right, so here we are. We're importing into the business professionals group. I'm going to browse and look for that file. So I'm choosing Mailchimp test 5. And I'm going to import into the list. And I don't need to auto-update because I know these are brand new emails. So let me go and map these fields now. So email address, okay. Preferred format, okay. Original subscribe date, I want to make sure I choose that. So you can see I originally called this original opt-in time, but I decided to abandon that because I thought this opt-in time word was actually causing the conflict. So I changed the name to original subscribe date. And so you can see that's just a regular text field now. Added by, I've created all of these custom fields here. First name, last name, and title, and organization. And okay. All right, so now I'm going to import this list. And now I just got to wait and see what happens. But you can see here, one email was already subscribed to a duplicate. Interesting. Well, that kind of sucks because it screws up my testing a little bit. But I'm assuming that means, because info, this address here, this info@sportsnetworker.com is actually a nickname based on Google Apps. So it might not, it's not an original email address. It's like an alias, I guess you would say. But this one here is an actual original email address. So I'm assuming that's the one that got imported. So let's take a look. So if I look at my subscribers now, yeah, so there's Trevor@sportsexec.net. Okay? So I'm just going to use that one as the example then. I'm just going to delete this one off of here because I'm not looking for that because it didn't work. And I'm not going to start this over again. So the results, let's take a look. So this person was added to the business professionals group. You can see here I'm best described as a business professional. And again, they've just had this original subscribe date added here. If I go ahead now and download these records and take a look at this, let's see what it says here. Okay, so there's Trevor@sportsexec.net, and you can see that I've got original subscribe date in here, but I don't have anything in opt-in time. So based on what you guys told me, in this support, where is it now? It is right here. So based on this support reply that I received from you, I should not be queuing up the autoresponder because I did not use opt-in time as the value. And again, your screenshot indicates to me that as long as I don't have an opt-in time here, then it won't trigger this, assuming that that email address came in through the form because I don't have an opt-in time. And I'm assuming that that's correct. So please let me know if that's the case. So now I just need to, so expected results, Trevor added to business group and should not receive autoresponder since it's checked off. Now results, Trevor@sportsexec added to business group, and I don't know this result actually yet because I can't say if I did or did not receive it because I'm going to have to let this play out for a little bit and see if I get one. But if it works the same way that the last one did, I did not actually receive the autoresponder in this case on a list that I imported exactly the same way. But now the only variable that I got to test on here is this one that is for, let me just scroll this up a bit. Okay, there we go. Is for turning this use import data subscribe date checked on after 24 hours. And again, I should not receive the autoresponder. I'm assuming, I'm hoping. And I also want to see here, so I want to just delete these actually because the results is what I'm looking for, question mark, question mark. So I got to come back and just look at this, right? So right now the business one is set to not checked on. This import happened and only one email address went in this time, but that's okay. You can still test this with one. Here's again the look at the record for Trevor@sportsexec.net. Original subscribe dates, opt-in time. This should not queue it, and when I check on this box, I'm hoping, check on the box in the autoresponder, I'm hoping that it doesn't trigger it. And please tell me what I'm doing wrong here, because I'm assuming that what's going to happen is I'm going to turn this on 24 hours from now, and Trevor@sportsexec.net is going to get that email. And the concern, and again, I'll just reiterate this, is that we have 3,000 contacts, but we've actually segmented those contacts already. So if I go into my files of what I've segmented already, you'll see emails. Nope, where is that? Contacts. So here's the business one. So these are all business contacts, so people that should go into the business group, right? Here's one for chamber members. Here's one for conference organizers. Here's one for students. And then finally, here's one for Weekly Tip Plus, which is essentially our newsletter list. So everybody that's in the student, the conference, the chambers, and the business lists are all represented in the Weekly Tips list. So The weekly tip is the newsletter again. Everybody goes into that one. But we also wanted to import these other ones so that we can record them in separate groups. And I realized that I have to do these all separately, so I had to break them all out into separate spreadsheets that I'll then import. Now, again, the concern is that so one person, one record that we have might end up in our newsletter list, in our conference organizers list, and in our business professionals list. And if this issue continues where when I leave these all unchecked and then I go and check them on again, that person who's already been in our list for upwards of 2 to 3 years is going to end up getting 3 autoresponders, bang, 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 back to back, when they didn't sign up for anything. So this is a major, major issue for us, and it's actually holding up the launch of a website. I need to get this solved as soon as possible. I realize you guys don't have phone support. I wish to God you did. I'm just going to leave this with you and hope to God that somebody can get back to me and give me an answer that provides a solution, because this is our only hang-up right now in actually launching this website. So that's it for now. If somebody can give me a phone call to walk me through this, because you realize that I've obviously put a lot of time into this and I understand what I'm talking about, but I still need some direction. Maybe a phone call is the quickest way to solve this. You can reach me at 604-715-2550. Again, my name's Trevor Turnbull, and I appreciate any help that you can give me. Thanks very much.